Hello and welcome back to the OTB channel. Today we're going to take a look at a distro, an Arch-based distro that's been requested numerous times, HefftorLinux. I've downloaded the XFCE version, so let's see what we think. Okay, welcome back. I know there's been a little bit of a hiatus, a gap, where I didn't post a video last week. And normally I post my videos on a Saturday, but this time it's been a Sunday. So I thought I'd better provide a little bit of an explanation. Last week, well, we'd had some of our lockdown restrictions lifted. And so I wanted to take the opportunity to go and visit family and relatives, many of whom I haven't seen for a long time. So family is ultimately more important than a video, so I made the choice to do that. Now, yesterday, why didn't I publish a video on a Saturday? Well, that was an equally important reason. And I'd call it a midlife crisis, but actually, I'm a bit old for a midlife crisis. And I'll just show you what it's all about. Let me just move to my desk. This is the reason there wasn't a video yesterday. I finally hit the switch on a new motorbike, a Royal Enfield 650 Interceptor, and it was delivered earlier in the week. And yesterday was my first chance, really, to give it a go. So that's why it seems a strange thing at my age buying a motorbike, 60 years old, and putting my leg across a bike. Well, it's been about 30 odd years since I last did it, and I took the view that at my age, if I didn't do it now, I'd never do it. And I've been prevaricating for the last 10 years, so I finally did it, and brilliant. So that's why you're getting the video on Sunday today. So a little bit off topic, but just to let you know what I've been doing. So today, I'm going to look at HefftorLinux. It's one of the distros that in your comments, I constantly keep getting requests for. And so I thought, well, why not? Let's take a look. I know it's an Arch-based distro, and it's meant to be a user-friendly Arch-based distro. Now, we're spoilt for choice, aren't we, as far as user-friendly distros are concerned, based on the Arch system. But, you know, there can never be too many. It's all about choice. And I went in blind, really. I didn't watch any reviews. I have since watched a review by Tyler, who I think looked at an older version than I looked at, but it pretty much looks quite similar. So before we go and do that, let's go to the Hefftor webpage. And I keep wanting to say Hester rather than Hefftor. I don't know why. Let's go and have a look at the Hefftor webpage and see what it can tell us. So here we are at the HefftorLinux website and HefftorLinux.net. And I've got to say that it exudes style as soon as you go to it. It's got a very modern look. And as you work down, free does not mean ugly, it says. Well, absolutely true. Say bye-bye to intrusive antivirus, telemetry, massive but unstable updates, etc., etc. And then it talks about Linux products, HefftorLinux products. So that'll be merch, t-shirts and the like that you can buy. It has some links to the YouTube channel and its Telegram channel. And then it talks about something called HefftorLinux Studio. I don't remember seeing this yesterday when I downloaded it. Maybe it was just me. Maybe it's been added. But apparently this is a professional build for developers, designers, and artists. Okay, so custom build for people who wish to take charge and have a working out-of-the-box professional build for all their development and artistic needs. I perhaps would have downloaded that if I'd seen it, but hey-ho. We then have a link to HefftorLinux downloads, and we can keep scrolling, and it tells us about installing. It uses the calamares installer. It has a load of custom packages. It talks about how to copy it over to USB. And it says there are a number of different desktop versions available. But the number one desktop is currently XFCE. So, all good. And you can still keep going down. It's a what's that? HefftorLinux has a brand new tracker for their torrents. This is based on a trial run for us to see the volume of downloads and also keep you safe. Right, okay, fine. Well, I did actually go to, initially to the downloads page, which you can see now. And yesterday, there didn't seem to be quite as many choices here. It took me to an OSDN page, but that was fine. But I see now that we've got a number of choices. We've got BSPWM. These are all produced on the 1st of May. We have GNOME, we have Kodi, we have Plasma, and we have XFCE, which, to be honest, I'm quite surprised about, because when I was reading about this initially, it was all about merging desktop environments with tiling window managers and basically creating the same flow and theming throughout. So I also found that they have a SourceForge page, and this is where it tells us a little bit more. So Arch is known as being fast, powerful, and lightweight, provides cutting-edge software. It's a rolling release, obviously. And HefftorLinux is a user-friendly spin-off of the distribution called ArcoLinux. So it has its roots in ArcoLinux. Its main goal and mission is to provide a pre-riced but friendly Arch experience to newbies and a ready-to-go system for experienced users. And it aims to break the existing barrier between tiling window manager environments and a full desktop environments. So bringing a unified concept, theming, key bindings, and tools, which I think is actually quite interesting, because if you look at the downloads, I suppose we have BSPWM there as a tiling window manager, and that's what they focus on. I'm assuming you can also download the files here. Yes, you can. They do have, there's only 3 ISOs there. They do have 3 ISOs available on SourceForge. They have the Plasma version, the XFCE version, and the BSPWM version. What I did notice, though, if I go back to the previous release, which was the 12th of March, they seem to have a few more. Maybe it's just that they haven't yet uploaded them to SourceForge. So wherever you download it from, you can download it from SourceForge, you can download it from the HefftorLinux page. Let's see what it's all about. I don't know what to expect, really. I've looked at ArcoLinux. I obviously know all about Arch Linux. If I'm honest, I'm expecting this to be about theming more than anything else. But we're not going to know until we go and take a look. So let's do that. So on your screens now, you should see HefftorLinux. I haven't showed you the installation because, to be blunt, it's just your standard calamares install, where you do also get to choose whether or not you want the NVIDIA driver included and what sort of kernel you want included. I believe by default this has the Zen kernel, which is optimized for the desktop. But I've essentially installed it, I booted it up, I ran all of the updates, and I've just relaunched it, and this is what you get. It's a very pleasant looking desktop, I have to say. So this is XFCE, and there's a transparent panel from what I can see along the top with a little icon with the old horns there, and that opens up what I presume is your whisker menu. Let's just check. Yeah, it's the whisker menu. So, yeah, the whisker menu is great. I love it. Use it all the time. Down at the bottom, we have Plank, and obviously we've got the developers' choices here. We've got the Brave browser, which I believe is default, Thunar, Sublime Text, Catfish File Search, VLC, Qubit Torrent. Unusual to have that rather than transmission. I've never used it. I've only ever used transmission, I must admit. But I'm sure it's absolutely fine. You have your terminal, and a little bit of a strange choice for the terminal, URXVT. A bit old school. I've used it in the past. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm assuming perhaps that they've defaulted to URXVT because they do some other versions with straightforward tiling window managers such as BSPWM. You've got your settings manager there, a show desktop icon, your trash can, okay, a little icon that shows us our CPU load and our memory, and here I actually have the welcome screen, which is presented to you as soon as you log in. It's a very dark theme, you'll already see, and the welcome screen isn't that complex, and that can be a good thing, to be honest. I think some of them try and do too much, but it just gives you a little bit of an idea. It tells you the default kernel there is the Zen kernel. They found that they got better performance from it on average. They've released a Kodi build, still in development, our official Kodi config application. Okay, thanks for downloading. And I think if I just move that there, what you actually have is a conky configuration there with the date, the time. And I'm assuming if you're playing music, that's going to show up exactly what track you're playing there. I haven't got any music on here, so I can't really test that. As you go through to applications, you have a select number of applications that you can install. I've just installed Firefox using this method, but for instance, if I decided I wanted FileZilla installed, I simply click on it, I enter my password, and off it goes. It goes and does its thing. And there's not a huge amount of applications here. It's simply, oh, there we go. So FileZilla is presumably installed now. Let's just have a look at internet. Yes, there it is. FileZilla is installed. So you've got the choice of Firefox, Thunderbird. Plank is already installed. When an application is installed, what it seems to do is it uses these large capital letters font next to the icon so that you know it's installed. You can install the GIMP, Timeshift, Telegram, Discord, SuperTuxCart, and you also have quick links there for installing Lutris, Steam, and Winetricks, should you so wish. Going on to the social tab, there's simply links to what you would expect, really. Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, etc., etc. And last but not least, you have some links to the Patreon page. I presume donate to HefftorLinux is PayPal. And we have the HefftorLinux page as well. So let's just open the HefftorLinux page. And this seems to be opening, it is opening Brave by default. You saw this before I installed. I wanted to check the community link to see if they do actually have a community page. I didn't do that initially, but I know one of the criticisms of the early releases was there wasn't really any documentation. But I'm actually looking here. They seem to have this forum here, and looking at, well, the activity, it's medium, I suppose. It's certainly active, but I can't actually see anything there for May. I think February, March, April. So it doesn't look as if it's that active, but hey-ho, you could say that if you're going to install an Arch system, perhaps you don't really need that much community support. But I know that goes against the grain, really, because this is very much meant to be a user-friendly system. So let's close down that welcome screen. This is what we're presented with. It is clean, it's stylish, It's not to my taste, I'll say that out of the box, but if you like this look, that's absolutely fine. Let's have a look at the desktop settings to see what wallpaper choices you've got there. You've got a variety of choices, but actually not a huge amount. I quite like that. They obviously really like the dark theme. That's quite nice, quite striking. Yeah, I mean, if you don't like the dark themes, you've obviously got a bit of work to do here. I personally like the dark theme, but I do like a lighter wallpaper with it, so I'm just going to put that on for the time being. I think if you have a dark theme, you need a little bit of contrast. What about the icons? Actually, we're not looking in the right place there. We'll check for them afterwards. Let's just open the Thunar file manager. Right, okay, well, by default, those icons are pretty big, but of course you can change them to suit. I'm presuming I can just hold down Control. Yeah, you can resize them to suit. I think they look quite smart. I've no idea what they are, but we'll get to that as we go along. And this is your Thunar file manager. Right, I did run the htop command when I first logged into here. And as you can see, it's using 657 megs of RAM, which is perhaps a little bit on the heavy side, to be honest, for XFCE. But at the end of the day, 656 megs, it's not a huge amount. The vast majority of people these days, have 3 or 4 gig of RAM at the very least. So it's going to be able to cope with this. And it does feel quite snappy, the desktop. I'm running this in VirtualBox. I've given it 8 gig of RAM, and it feels quite responsive. Let's have a look what we've got in the menu. So in the Whisker menu, okay, recently used, we've got Conky in File Manager there. Accessories, the Catfish File Manager, you've got disks, you've got Plank. So it is Plank down at the bottom. Let's have a look. Task Manager, Vim, you've got Vim installed by default, which is always good to see. I take it that's the graphical Vim. Perhaps not. But okay. So what about development? You've got Icon Browser and Meld, which is an application where you can compare and merge your files. So you can do a diff essentially in a graphical environment. And the Sublime text editor. Okay. In graphics, the Ristretto image viewer, Peak. You can record short animated GIFs. I haven't got anything on here that I can really show you with that. I have seen a demo of that, but could be quite useful. And you've got a document viewer built in. Internet? Well, I've installed FileZilla and Firefox, so what came as default was Brave and QBitTorrent. But this is an Arch system. It's dead easy to install anything you want. What do we have in multimedia? So we have our Pulse Audio controls, VLC. Despite the criticisms, it's still my default multimedia application, so it's good to see that. There is no Office by default. But as you know, once again, with an Arch system, it's simplicity itself to install whatever you want. What's in other? GM run. Okay, so that's going to bring up a box to execute a command. There you go. Useful little application that I often use personally on all my tiling window managers. What have we got here? The settings manager, the appearance. Yeah. A better lock screen GUI. Let's have a look. Okay, so this gives you the opportunity to change the image that you're using for your lock screen. There's some quite nice images there. I would have liked to have seen them available as wallpaper out of the box, to be honest. What else have we got? AR and R, always useful to have. Color profiles. Default applications. Let's just have a look at what we've got as default applications. So we have got Brave as our web browser, Thunar as our file manager, URXVT as our terminal, and obviously there's a range of other applications there. Okay, that's fine. What else have we got on system? Or settings, should I say? I'm jumping ahead here. We've got the Heffter Skell GUI. Safeguard your configuration. I think this heralds back to the ArcoLinux roots of this distro. Whenever a developer releases updates to configuration files, generally on installation, they're kept in the etc skell directory and they will be copied across. But as a developer continually updates settings, if you're using a rolling release, those settings aren't necessarily going to come down and affect your particular your system. So you can, as it's updated, back up your own home directory or home directory. It'll be your .config directory and your .local directory, I would imagine, and copy over the latest .config and .local directories from the etc skell directory. I'm just having a look here at what we've got. We've got backups and we've got main, upgrade bash, okay, add, remove, add file, add folder, run backup first, run the command skell, which would copy everything across. Okay, I've never used this before. I haven't found a need for it because, generally speaking, I run plain Arch and the configuration files are my own custom configuration files anyway, so I don't want them overwritten. But I know ArcoLinux does this as a command so that somebody is using Arco and using the Arco configuration, they can keep their system up to date that way. So, yeah, useful if that's something you're going to find of some utility. What else have we got here? I think we've just got the standard stuff. Notifications, the panel, power manager, removable drives and media, session and startup, shared folders, and we have got the XFCE terminal settings there by the look of it. And what if we go to system? You've got dconf editor there, which is good. grsync, brilliant. htop is already installed. Printing's already installed by the look of it. Shared folder dialog for sharing over the likes of Samba. System profiler and benchmark, users and groups, and the XFCE terminal. Okay, so it's pretty much what you'd expect. So let's go into settings. What I want to look at here, I should say, by the way, this went immediately to full HD, so I didn't need to mess about. The live ISO went straight to full HD in VirtualBox, and it's full HD now, so it wasn't a problem. So it's obviously got the drivers loaded already. Let's go to appearance. Right, so the icons, or rather the style that we've got, is called Juno Pale Night. Let me open up the file manager, and I just want to change a few things to see what it looks like. So I'm using Juno Pale Night. It's very dark. What about if I go to Juno Ocean? It's even darker. Juno Mirage. Okay. It's obviously got these orange hints on it. Straightforward Juno. Okay, that comes with without any of the highlighting, and we've obviously got the Arc Darker, the standard things that you tend to find. I really like Arc Dark. It tends to be my my preferred style. But let's go back to this Juno Pale Night. I want to see what icons are installed. Teller Blue Dark. Now, I've never heard of Teller, but we seem to have quite a few colour choices here. It seems to be mainly Teller. So we can change these to Teller Pink Dark if that's your thing. Or we can make them purple or red or dark red. That's quite nice, quite striking. Or Ubuntu-esque, Teller Ubuntu. Or we can go for yellow. I think, if I'm honest, I'm going to go back to the Teller Blue, which I think is quite nice. I've not seen this icon set before, but it's a nice, flat, quite stylish look and feel to it. Okay, what else have we got on our main settings panel? Anything that is slightly unusual? It all looks pretty standard from what I can see. Oh, yeah, I know what I wanted to look at. The system defaults will be restored next time you log in. Right, okay, I wasn't sure I'd done that much. Right, so I wanted to look at the application shortcuts. And wow, we seem to have quite a few already set here. Perhaps this is what they meant by the trying to almost merge the look and feel of desktop environments and tiling window managers. And certainly if you use the tiling window managers, you're going to use shortcuts. And I see there's an awful lot of shortcuts here, including Rofi. So Rofi would be, hold on, is that Super plus M? It's quite hard to see here. Hold on. No, it's not. Super plus F12. So, okay, Super plus F12. Oh, Rofi's installed. Nice. Okay, yeah, like that. URXVT. We can do Super T. So, Super T. And there it is. This thing here, I don't think it's NeoFetch, but it's obviously doing something similar. Terminal font is actually Hack. Okay. The kernel is the Zen kernel. I'm not sure I like it, if I'm honest. I don't even like NeoFetch, really. I tend to stop that. So we've got something for opening GIMP, although I know GIMP isn't installed. We've got Xkill there. What's that? Super plus Escape. Screenshot tools. In fact, you've got a load of key bindings already set for Brave, Catfish, Chromium, even though Chromium isn't installed. Firefox. So Firefox is Super F. Oh no, hold on. It's Control-Alt-F, so let's just try that. Control-Alt-F, does that open up Firefox for us? Oh, yes, it does. I was going to say it doesn't, but clearly that's fine. If you use keyboard shortcuts, the chances are you're going to want to use your own shortcuts rather than somebody else's. But this does at least give you a starting point. So I'm quite happy to see that. Is there anything else there? Add or remove software. Let's just see what that is. And that brings us back to PMAC. So with PMAC, what I noticed right from the outset, and let me just insert my password here, was I'm not sure that this theme necessarily works with the PMAC's interface. It looks a little too dark, but if I go on to advanced, you've obviously got the standard things that you can enable, and I have enabled AUR support. Interestingly, it has a number of different repositories here. So it's not just working off the Arch repositories. It seems to have added 3 separate repositories: the Hefftor repo, the Hefftor apps repo, and the Hefftor 3P repo. Okay, the reason that distro developers tend to add their own repos, as far as I can see, is they want to include packages that perhaps aren't available on the standard or in the standard Arch repos, or are only available in the AUR, and they want to offer a pre-compiled version. Personally, I tend to shy away from distros with customized repos, which is why I prefer plain Arch, but it's fine. I suppose it makes life a little bit easier for you and means that you're not going to rely on the AUR for some of your basics. Everything else there looks pretty much as I would expect. So that's HefftorLinux. It's a very nice, clean XFCE desktop. It's based on Arch, and it's certainly as user-friendly as any of these things get. So let's go and have a chat. So that's HefftorLinux. What do I think? Well, we've got a huge range of easy Arch distros out there now. So we're spoilt for choice in a way. What did I think of this? I thought, as far as things go, if you like the theming and styling, it may well be for you. It wasn't something that floated my boat in as much as I wouldn't download a distro just because of the colours and the icons that it uses. But if you like something pre-configured and this does it for you, well, all well and good. And I think a lot of people do actually choose a distro based on that. Personally, if I want something quick and fast, I would still use Endeavour or Esnix, but they're quite lightly themed and you still need to do most of the work yourself. For me, that's something I prefer. But hey, this is an Arch distro. What's not to like? And if you like how it looks and you like the wallpaper, go for it. I don't think I really have anything else to say about it. I'm broadly positive. It was snappy. I quite like the way they themed XFCE, but it was all about theming and style. And okay, they have some custom repos, but I'm pretty much guessing that most of the packages in the custom repos are probably available in the AUR should you want them anyway. So that's it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's been a little bit different, being on a Sunday morning instead, but it's not too long because I'm actually going. We've got a lovely sunny day outside, and I'm going to take my my new toy out for another little spin. So thanks for watching. Come and join me on Library if you prefer to watch on that platform or Odyssey. Thank you so much for subscribing, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. We're just right on the verge of knocking into 15,000. And of course, my Patreons, thank you guys. I seem to have lost my Patreon page with the names, so I need to create a new one. But guys, thank you so much for your support. It's meant a huge amount. And I'll see you next week.